The burning wastes of the East had been quiet for long. Too long. In the fires and mines of the Darklands, a whisper of powerful artifacts beyond imagining had become so much more. A promise of godly powers through the blood of Hashut. But despite our great industry, more was needed. Lost dwarven artifacts far beyond our borders, and the building of the Great Drill. It is in this era that Zhatan the Black, commander of the Tower of Zarr, the master of slaves and servant of Gorth the Cruel, took up the mantle of his ambition. But the Darklands is a barren wasteland, fed only by more workers and more blood, and Zhatan was not alone in seeking ultimate power. His dwarven brethren, Astrogoth Ironhand and Drashuath the Ashen, also craved these powerful artifacts, at every turn attempting to foil the plans of the great Zhatan. And so, time was of the essence. And so the great Zhatan declared, only 9% of people watching this video are subscribed to the channel. If you enjoy my content guys, it would mean so much to me if you made a simple click and sub to the channel. It really goes a long way in helping my content reach further, and hopefully helping you in knowing when there's new content to be enjoyed. I'd really appreciate it. I also wanted to take this time to shout out some of my favorite Warhammer friends here in the Total War community. And so, if you're into Warhammer 3 and want to watch a unique and new take on Let's Plays, head over to More Warpstone. They're playing some really fun campaigns between 2 or more friends, and fighting each other for dominion of this vast world. I really like their style, so make sure to head over and show them some love. Zhatan's first obstacle were the Greenskins, numerous as they were, who at this time occupied large swaths of the Chaos Wastes. Seeking to make his mark, he took his army and moved against them. One by one he defeated their armies in battle, then moved for the strongholds. The Howling Rock was the first to fall, followed by Desolation of Drakenmoor. Zhatan's strength and the ingenuity of dwarven weaponry made the enemy easy targets. The ones who survived the massacres were made slaves, fueling the industrious machine of the Chaos Wastes. The new Conquest provided Zhatan with opportune choices. He turned his conquests into work outposts and factories, as his armies demanded ever more armaments, his cities ever more raw materials, and laborers, obviously unpaid, underfed, and importantly, underloved, were required to continue their production. Zhatan needed to take care not to fill his outposts with too many, lest slave revolts and unrest occur. But the threat of possible insurrection was nothing a few massacres wouldn't handle. Having taken control of the entirety of the blasted wastes, Zhatan sent convoys far and wide, exchanging gold for valuable raw materials. What Zhatan had not expected was a greenskin counterattack. It was repelled, no doubt, but the immediate consequences were dire. Not only had half our army been exterminated, but this fact allowed our new neighbors, a faction of the Vampire Counts, to become overly confident. Not only did they move 2 armies into our sacred wastes, but they sent a diplomat to Drakenmoor with a most foul ultimatum: 1,000 gold coins, lest their armies descend upon us. In other words, extortion of the darkest degree. Zhatan was driven into a corner. He had no choice but to accept lest his quest for greatness be stopped in its tracks already here, where it had yet to truly begin. But on that day, Zhatan, much like his kin in the west, swore revenge. For Zhatan held grudges. The next few years were spent preparing to uphold that grudge, to keep his promise of revenge. With the new labor force, he raised the Blasted Wastes to become a center of chaotic industry. He spent vast amounts of materials and armaments to recruit and equip the best among dwarven warriors, he ordered the building of new great cannons, and even spent his newfound influence to claim powerful seats in the dwarven hierarchy. And then, one day, Zhatan made his decision. Scouts reported that the vampiric armies were divided in the north and the west, far away from the stronghold in the mountains. This was the time. Zhatan ventured forth with his great army, making haste towards the fortress of Silver Pinnacle. But the vampire counts, more specifically the Lamian Sisterhood, saw the writing on the wall. They sent their army after us, but instead of letting himself become cornered, Zhatan seized the initiative. He attacked Siegfried Barakmir, sending his army of undead in flight, or, as was tradition, into the mines. With the undead host of Siegfried gone, only the garrison and Silver Pinnacle remained, however strong it was. But Zhatan wasted no time. He ventured forth once more, finding himself at the walls of the vampire-infested nest. None would escape except as slaves. With the fortress of Silver Pinnacle in our hands, Zhatan elected to erect a second tower, another stronghold from which he could survey and defend his domain. But as soon as the dust settled and the chains had been ringed around the hands of our new vampire servants, news came in from the capital. An army of western dwarves were spotted not far from the Great Drill. Making them a sacrifice to the Father of Darkness would indeed reveal the artifacts needed to lead us closer to our goal. And so, Zhatan left Silver Pinnacle, but on his way there, he dealt with the Lamian Sisterhood once and for all, defeating the remnants of their forces. Regrouping once more, and having raised the awesome Iron Daemon, Zhatan marched towards the dwarves of the west, fighting them in the mines. His new cannons would make short work of them. The battle was fearsome, but its results even more horrendous. But nothing would stop Zhatan in finding what he sought above all.
Captured in battle, the western kin are slaughtered one by one and offered as sacrifice to Hashut, the Father of Darkness. The great bull god is pleased with the savage offerings and reveals the locations of 8 dwarven relics.
4 great relics there were, and 4 minor. Of course, Zhatan had no patience for the small. His renown lent him yet another seat in the Tower of Zarr, but he would not rest on his chained laurels. Carefully surveying his maps, Zhatan came to the conclusion that the only right place to begin was in the southwest, beyond the snowy mountains of his kin and the lands of the humans. He wasted no time. Having delegated the rule of Silver Pinnacle to Brandak the Pure, Zhatan moved into the snowy mountains, far beyond where he'd ever ventured before. He moved straight for the nearest settlement, infested as it was with orcs and goblins, soaring proudly above his allies and enemies as his engines of war moved forward. His empire was expanding, but so was the need for labor. In the first, Zhatan ordered the transportation of laborers from the blasted waste to the world's edge mountains, ensuring the extraction of raw materials and production of new arms and armor continued smoothly. But nothing mattered as much as expansion, as much as progress, and Zhatan ventured east to deal with his western kin held up at Karak Ungor. Our western kin brought their fancy hairstyles, pickaxes, and some cute cannons as well. It was a battle unlike any other. Icy, snowy, colorful and magical in nature, beautiful even. Zhatan couldn't wait to bring his flaming chaos corruption here too, and turn it all into mines and magma. His great cannons would make sure of it. The Lord Ungrim Ironfist fought bravely, fitting for his last battle and a good sacrifice to the Father of Darkness. With Karak Ungor firmly within our grasp, the World's Edge Mountains were fully ours. But Zhatan was once more forced to take stock of his options. Beyond the mountains lay the realm of the humans, a number of peoples powerful and numerous. Naturally, Zhatan was not afraid of them, he was merely conscious of delay. And so, he chose instead to move through the mountains to the south. Avoiding enemy and neutral armies as best he could, he traversed the homelands of his brethren. It was colder than Zhatan and his host were used to, but their thick armor and full bellies kept them warm. And soon, he was standing at the edge of the realm of his ancestors, surveying the lands below. Corrupted as they were with vampiric toxins, there still remained an inherent beauty within them, a beauty which craved the tentacles of chaos corruption. But that would have to wait. For now, our army paved its way through the putrid mist of Sylvania. Each step was more painful than the last, our army falling apart bit by bit. The poisonous fumes and dead lands were so harmful that despite being able to smell the artifact beyond the nearby river, Zhatan was forced to make camp, doing so in the mountain below the great imperial city of Wurtbad. The weeks of respite allowed his army to rebuild its ranks, and soon it was back on the move, barging its way underground to meet the dwarven army there. Jamek Brightaxe held the artifact Zhatan had come all this way for, and it was paramount that both he and his army were hunted down and defeated. The miners of the Great Mountains were powerful, the battle hard fought, but at the end of the tunnel, Zhatan emerged victorious. With a great relic in hand, he chose to do the honorable thing and used it to expand the Great Rule even more, bringing him one step closer to ultimate power. Of course, an offense like this would not be forgotten soon by the dwarves of the West.
The Hellworkers labor to bind a demon to the first dwarf relic, despoiling it completely before placing it into boilers of the great drill of Hashut. Such desecration will be remembered by the dwarves of the West. Yet it was they that cast the first stone. It was their ancestor gods who abandoned the forefathers of the Tower of Zarr as they ventured eastward into the dark lands. All dwarves can bear grudges, and those in the West shall never be forgiven.
Zhatan the Black and his men had come far, further than any dwarf of his kind had before. Having made himself a force to be reckoned with, holding power on the field as well as in the Tower of Zarr, this was yet only the beginning. For the great drill needed further kindling, and no matter the distance or the obstacles, be it the forces of men or chaos, Zhatan had only to reach out and grasp his opportunity. For the dwarves marching beneath his great flying warble, he had already proven himself a godly presence, worthy in the highest of the gifts of the Father of Darkness. My friends, thank you so much for watching. If you are excited for the Chaos Dwarfs DLC for Warhammer 3, and if you enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comments. And as always, make sure to leave a like and sub to the channel. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.